Hello there everybody and welcome to our presentation today. Today I'd like to talk to you about internships and launching a new career here in China. So let me first of all introduce myself. My name is Paul and I've been working in China for 5 years now, and I've been working with the GI2C organisation for 2 years. And what we do at GI2C is we help people find internships and launch new careers here in China in a wide range of different industries. So what I'd like to speak to you today about is different career opportunities in China, reasons why people come to China. Also, I'd like to discuss the cultural differences, and I'm just going to run through different ways in which you can apply for a position here in China. So I hope that you find everything that we're going to discuss useful. And so let's begin. Why find a position in China? I speak to people from all over the world on a daily basis who are looking to start and begin a new career in China. And one of the first questions I always ask them is, why China? What makes you want to give up your life in the country you're living to start afresh in China? So here are some of the most common reasons that I've listed. So as you can see at the top, career opportunities, career development. China has a booming economy. And you don't really get to experience how booming China's economy is until you actually land here in China. And you will find when you're in the cities of Beijing and Shanghai, people on an evening are going shopping, going to restaurants. I'm really enjoying signs of living in a very wealthy and upcoming economy. And I want to tell you a story. I remember when I first came to China, it didn't really hit me how booming the economy was until I was having dinner with my friend on a Tuesday night, and this time I was just a fresh graduate. We looked at the restaurant and it was absolutely filled with people enjoying themselves. Now, for a fresh graduate to have dinner on a Tuesday night so casually is very unique in the country of the UK, especially in 2009, which was the economic crisis. And I was talking to my friend about this, and then he looked at me and says, I bet you can't imagine the rest of the world is in recession at the moment. Other things that we have is the lifestyle. Lots of people want to go abroad to live an expatriate lifestyle. Now, many years ago, it was only people in high-level positions, mid-management positions, who got the opportunity to live and work abroad. Now, in China, many companies are looking for fresh new talent. Now, another reason is a sense of adventure, doing something new. And many people who I speak to have just finished university, they don't have any commitments, and they understand if there's ever going to be a time where they can secure an international future in China, now is the time to do it. Now, one of the second reasons is they want to live an expatriate lifestyle. 20 years ago, or traditionally, only people in mid-management positions were able to go abroad and live and work abroad and experience what it would be like to live in an expat. Now, here in China, companies in China want to nurture fresh young talent. So fresh graduates are having the opportunity to move to China, get trained in their specified field, while also living an expatriate lifestyle that wouldn't have been available to them 10 or 15 years ago. Then one of the other main reasons why people want to move is Chinese culture. Chinese culture is famous throughout the world for its food, history, and learning the language. Everybody knows how important learning Mandarin is going to be in years to come, and many schools have already started to learn Mandarin. And what foreigners do find is when they do come to China, they can pick up Chinese a lot easier than they imagined. Now, these are some statistics that we actually got from the internet, and you might have found different statistics, but it really does give you a sense of what's happening in China at the moment. And it isn't just the cities of Beijing and Shanghai. It's also other cities as well that are benefiting from this economy. So here you can see a picture of Chongqing. Chongqing for a long time was the world's fastest growing city. Now China's fastest growing city is actually Hefei, which is the home of the last president, Hu Jintao. So I don't know if that's got any relation. Most of the international positions and companies are actually still located in Beijing or Shanghai. So this is typically where most of the expatriates go to. So I don't really want to go on and keep talking about China's economy, because you could go ahead and look at statistics online. You can go ahead and look at different blogs as well. What I want to discuss today is what's in it for you. How can somebody who has never been to China, doesn't know Mandarin, position themselves in the China economy? So to ask this question, I decided to go ahead and ask many employers here in China, why would you like to employ foreigners? And here are some of the main reasons that a lot of them said. First of all, they want to bridge the gap between the East and the West. China's got a lot of Chinese companies, are growing here in China, and in order for them to expand, what they need is a gateway between overseas markets. And foreign people can help them do that, whether it would be knowing cultural differences, language as well, and also knowing how to target an overseas consumer. Another reason is creativity. Even though the local Chinese talent is very, very creative, what a lot of organizations still need is an outside of the box way of thinking. If they want to grow, they want to be competitive in their market, they need creative people from overseas. And this is very popular in many different industries, including architecture, business, marketing. In fact, foreign architects are very popular here in China. And you can see across Beijing some of the most iconic buildings are actually designed by foreign architects. For example, the building I work in, Galaxy Soho, this was designed by a British architect, and one of the most iconic buildings in Beijing, which is the CCTV building, this was designed by a German architect. And even though it was designed by a German architect, the Chinese even have labelled it Kaidanku, which is bottomless trousers. And you can see a picture here. So you can see a good collaboration between the East and the West for this one. Now, another popular reason why employers want to employ foreign talent is because China is moving away from manufacturing into a service industry. And they like the international service that foreigners can bring to clients. So this is very popular in hospitality. Hilton Hotels is actually building more hotels in China than any other country at the moment. And what they need in order to keep up international standards and continuity is have international staff who know how to deal with foreign clients and foreign guests. Another industry that is quickly growing here in China is consulting. And experienced consultants bring new ideas into Chinese companies that will help them grow. So these are the top main reasons why employers want to hire foreigners here in China over local talent for certain positions. So let's have a look at the most popular industries that our interns like to intern in when they first come to China. So as you can see, at the top is finance. Most of the people I speak to want to find an internship opportunity here in finance, and there's probably no better place than China to do this. There's a lot of investment banking opportunities here in China, wealth management, and we looked at the slides before which talked about the inward and outward investment, and lots of foreign international investment banks want to invest in China. They want to find the new Coca-Cola, the new Apple, and they can do it here in China with a lot of companies growing. Also, Chinese companies want to invest overseas, and they need people who are familiar with overseas markets to work with them and do all particular types of roles, such as financial analysis, financial modelling, rolling forecasting, and also consulting projects as well. Now, the second most popular industry is marketing. And many companies, as they're growing, they want to market their product overseas. So they need people who understand the overseas consumer as well. And every company has a marketing department. So there's lots of marketing positions available for international talent here in China. Also, one area where a lot of companies are unsure about is using social media to target overseas clients. The reason for this is because a lot of social media is restricted here in China, such as Facebook, YouTube and Twitter. So they need people who have a key understanding of how to use these tools and market their product correctly overseas in European markets and North American markets, for example, as well. And the third most common industry is international trade. Now, China's trading partners are just about every single country in the world. And there are lots of positions in international trade here in China for international talent. And you could be doing business with your home country or other countries as well that utilize your language skills. And international trade positions include helping with logistics, project management as well, and business development. So these are the three most common industries our interns like to come to China to intern in for. And if you would like to know more about potential industries or an industry that we haven't mentioned today, feel free to email in, and GITC will always try and help you as soon as we can. So what we've talked about now, we've talked about where you can work in China, we've talked about reasons why employers want to hire foreigners as well. But that still doesn't answer the first question, why China? What's in it for you? How can coming to China to both live and work benefit you in the long term? Now, instead of asking me this question and you this question, I decided to ask people who have worked in the industries that we've just spoken about, who have been in China longer than me. For 5 to 10 years, these are some people I know through my network that I've met here in China. The number one reason why people decided to stay in China was because of networking. The cities of Beijing and Shanghai have huge networking opportunities, and lots of people from all over the world come and move to Beijing or Shanghai, and the one reason they come here is for business. Now, let's be honest, nobody wants to retire here in China. So they see business opportunities. Their aim is to stay in China for a limited period of time, build a professional network that might help them develop business when they go back home as well. And networking events are very common in these cities. And if you do come to China, you would have an opportunity to go to networking events, meet people that you might not have the opportunity to meet in your home country as well. So networking was the main opportunity why people wanted to stay here in China. The second was career growth and faster promotional opportunities. The reason for this is because Chinese companies are growing very fast. So what this means is there's a great opportunity for you to grow with the company. Also, because expats are employed for different reasons as local talent, that means when promotions do become available, there's less people competing for promotions. So this means you can get ahead a lot quicker than you could do in your native country. Also, with regards to promotion opportunities, there's less people who have stayed in China for 10, 15 years or been with the company that long. So you've got less people who are trying to keep new talent down. As opposed, it's actually the reverse here in China. People are trying to nurture and nourish talent so that way that talent can help the company grow. So the third one is higher salary compared to living costs. Now, it is actually true. When you do come to China, the chances are you could be expected to take a pay cut for doing the same job as you would be doing in the US or Europe, for example. However, due to the lower living costs here in China, you can find yourself having more disposable income or more income for you to use for entertainment, for saving, because you're not going to have as many outgoings. And rent here in China is cheaper, food is cheaper, so people find themselves living a more lavish lifestyle that they would choose to live very early on in their career. And when they go back home, they could be faced with a lot more expenses. Self-improvement. Now this, for me personally, self-improvement was something that I never expected to happen to me when I came to China. And I couldn't be more wrong. When I first came to China, I couldn't speak a word of Chinese. Now I've got to a proficiency level. And it's only through being in China this has enabled me to learn a second language. And it's not just me, it's also lots of other expats who have been able to do this as well. And what you find in China is you can meet a lot of entrepreneurs. You're going to be socializing with people in successful people from a wide range of different backgrounds, and only then can you honestly see how you can compare yourself to them internationally. Okay. Throughout my discussion today, we've only been talking about the good points and the good reasons why you should come and work in China. But I think it's only fair for me to discuss reasons why not to work in China. So here are some of the main points, and here are some of the challenges that you're going to face when coming to China. The first challenge is visas. You're going to need a working visa to work legally here in China. Now, in order to get a working visa, you need a company to sponsor you. And a lot of companies would prefer to sponsor somebody who they know, which is the reason why a lot of people like to do an internship in order to get their foot in the door with a company, and then a company will sponsor them for a position here in China. Now, to do an internship, you need to come to China on what's called an F or an M visa. And this will allow you to come and intern in China and accumulate that work experience. And then during your internship, the company can change it over to a Z visa, which allows you to receive a salary and also get taxed on your salary. Another hassle in China for many expatriates is accommodation. Finding accommodation in China can be a headache, and it can also be expensive as well if you're not experienced in finding the right accommodation. Now, there are many different ways. You can go to an agent, but agencies charge high fees. You can contact a landlord online, but this is buyer beware because there are a few scams out there as well. What a lot of foreigners like to do is live in a shared apartment, a sublet, and there are many expatriates who sublet their rooms to other foreigners as well, and there are many Chinese who do that also. If you decide to come to China through the GI2C organization, GI2C will help you with all accommodation. One of the other challenges that you're going to have when you come to China is cultural conflicts. Now, a lot of people want to come to China to experience and learn more about the Chinese culture, but through that learning, I feel very confident that you're going to experience some conflicts, just like I did and many of my peers as well. Now, one of the biggest problems living and working in China is the air quality. And this is a serious problem, especially if you're in Beijing, but it's even a problem in other cities as well, such as Shanghai and southern cities. The Chinese government has reported it's working to improve the air quality here in China, but this is something you're going to have to deal with and get used to as well. Me personally, I monitor the air quality on a daily basis because if you want to do exercise, go and be active in China, you need to make sure the air is clear. It isn't as bad as the international media makes out. You do get a lot of clear days in China. You do get a lot of in-between days, but you're also going to get a lot of highly polluted days as well. So the last challenge that you're going to find when you come to China is the language. Now, when you're in the cities of Beijing and Shanghai, and many other Chinese cities as well, a lot of street signs are posted in English. A lot of restaurants have English menus, and you can get around the city, the larger cities, just using English. However, what you're going to find is a new type of language when you come to China, Chinglish. So you've got to be fully prepared that when Chinese people are saying something, or a street sign is saying something, you have to be fully aware of Chinglish. Now, even though this is very comical, the points I've shown you, in a business environment, if somebody is speaking, a Chinese person is speaking English to you, you have got to be patient with the language as well, and possibly look at it from many different angles. And this is something people who just arrive in China need to get used to. And even people who've been in China a while still have to make sure when they're discussing complex business situations that they are both clear on both parts. So we've covered the major concerns now, and whether you come to China, you're going to have a fantastic time or it's not going to live to your expectations. This really depends on you. But above all, it is going to be an adventure. And living and working in China, I find, does have its perks. First of all, for me, food. Here's an example of some of my favourite Chinese dishes. Dumplings, or jiaozi, as it's called in Chinese. Travel. Many people just think of China, they think of the Great Wall, Shanghai, but only when you're in China, you're going to find lots of hidden treasures, hidden gems. And one of my favourite places in China is in the Hunan province. And you can see this picture of Zhangjiajie. And this is where James Cameron got inspired for the movie Avatar. And it's probably my favourite place. One of the greatest reasons to stay in China is the people. The local people in China are very, very friendly. They're very welcoming to us foreigners. And what a lot of people find is when they first come to China, lots of Chinese people will be asking them where are they from, and they'll be talking about European countries, American countries with them, and they'll be just as excited to meet you as you are to meet them. And they'll be just as intrigued about your culture as you are in their culture. And whether you're at the bar, the restaurant, Chinese people are always wanting to help foreigners. The people are very welcoming. I've never been to a country in my life that welcomes foreigners like local Chinese people do. And this is not just in the cities, it's also in the countryside as well. And even if you can't speak the same language, they will still be very welcoming to you. We've covered all that I wanted to talk about today. So we've covered why come to China, why people have stayed in China, what foreigners can do in China, and why employers want to hire international people here in China. So the last thing that we need to discuss is how do you get to China? Now, there are many different roads to beginning your Chinese career. The first way is you can look on job boards. You can try applying directly to the companies. So there's many different websites out there, and if you type in job in China, finance job in China into Google, you're going to see many different job boards, and you can apply through these sites. When you are applying through these sites that you can find online, you can find some very great positions. But you also have to be aware as well, can this company sponsor you your visa? How big is this company? Also, you hear a lot of stories is when you come, the company might not be in one of the major cities. And also, you have to make sure that you are clear on the contract, because maybe when you come to China, you could be doing something completely different to what you agreed. This is a lot of problems people find, so you do have to be careful. But on the other hand, you can find a lot of great positions on job boards, even though they are very competitive. A very popular way for fresh graduates looking to begin a new career in China is through an internship provider like GI2C. Internship providers do all the work for you. So we will find a company, and a lot of companies like to use internship providers because internship providers help the intern settle in with life outside of work, so the intern can just focus on life inside of work. And a lot of companies like to first intern people before they hire them, because they want to know they are sponsoring the right applicant for the working visa. Internship providers can also help with things like accommodation, and they will also support you with life in China as well. Internship providers can help you with supporting you during your work. So, for example, GI2C, during your internship, we're going to make sure you're getting feedback from both you and the company to make sure you are on target to achieve your goals. Also, internship providers will help you with life outside of work. So internship providers can help you with accommodations and also other challenges that you could face here in China as well. And every company that we use at GI2C, if you want to get a full-time job after your internship, the company will be able to sponsor your visa as well. So we're going to take care of all the safety issues. And then the final way is first English teaching to professional. A lot of people first want to come to China and teach English, and then after teaching English they may want to develop their career in China. This is a good way because you can actually make some money before going into a professional career. If you just do decide to go to this route, make sure that you're in the key cities of Beijing or Shanghai or a major city where they do have international companies. One thing to be aware of is make sure you're only teaching English for a limited time, because I've met many people who decided to come to China to begin a professional career, but they ended up teaching English for too long and now they find it very difficult to get out there. That is something you need to be aware of as well. But it is a great way to experience the culture and build a network for when you first come to China. So I hope I've covered everything for you today. If I didn't manage to answer all of your questions, or if you have any further questions, don't be afraid to contact me or GI2C. You can contact inquiry@gi2c.org as well, and we'll always try and answer you as soon as we can. So thank you very much for watching, and hopefully we'll be able to meet in China.